John, when we talked before, I think we talked a little bit about this Avante, did we not?
We talked a little bit about it, and the history of it is it's a 1963 Studebaker Avante. They were built from April of 62 till December of 63 when Studebaker closed their facilities in South Bend, Indiana. 4,647 were built by Studebaker. This is one of those cars. 63 and 64 models were very, very similar. The difference in the 64 models were that the front headlights were square as opposed to the round.
Okay. So you see a square one, that's a 64 then.
That's a 64. Now, some late 63s were badged as 64s, but they still have the 63V is the beginning of the VIN number, so it was a 63. But there were more color combinations for the interior and paint.
John, I wish you'd learn a little bit about this car.
64. I'll try to learn a little bit about it.
No,
This-
you're a
this
walking
one-
encyclopedia, man.
This one it has the R1 engine. It's a Studebaker 289, not to be confused with a Ford engine.
Yeah.
The R1 is the non-supercharged version, which has 225 horsepower and air conditioning.
Oh.
If you got the R2, you had a supercharger, 289 horsepower, which was a big deal at the time to have 1 horsepower per cubic inch, but you had no air conditioning.
Okay.
There were about 17 R3 engines built that were bored out 90 thousandths over, which made them 304.5 cubic inches. The heads were a little bit different, and it was supercharged. That engine in this body set 29 records at the Bonneville Salt Flats in that era, which outdid every other car, including the Corvette.
That is incredible.
And it was designed, and its top speed was around 173 miles an hour. This one's top speed is about 125. The supercharged version is about 150. It's built on a Studebaker Lark convertible frame. So in the middle of the frame, you have an X to give you additional support because the convertible top doesn't have that rigidity.
Yeah.
So
Tell us about the restoration, though. When obviously, what kind of condition was it when you started?
when I got it, Rob, it was in pretty good shape. It had been hit up here and redone, and somebody repainted it. The gold on it at the time was a little more red than this, and it had just been painted over the original paint, so it was starting to blister. It was okay. It still ran okay. I did a fair amount of just minor things, brakes, engine tune-ups, and all to get it running. The interior was pretty bad. We drove it for several years, and then when we got the opportunity to get it restored, we did a total cosmetic restoration and then some minor engine work and some minor brake work, things like that. It didn't need that much, but cosmetically, bumper to bumper, inside and out, it's been all redone. Pardon me, it's an 8-year-old restoration. When we matched the paint, underneath here was the original overspray on this piece of chrome trim.
Yeah.
We got this paint, stuck our finger in the paint bucket, did one of these. When it dried, you couldn't see. So we did, a very good match. It's called Avante Gold. It's no big exotic name, paint by any means. But we put a very thick coat of epoxy primer on it, sanded that down, and then fixed some of the flaws that were inherent in the fiberglass body. Then we put 2 coats of medium gray primer, 2 coats of gold, pretty heavy coats of gold, and then we did 5 coats of clear.
Wow.
And we cut about 1.5 coats of the clear back off, and that helped take all the irregularities out of the paint, which gives you that more of that in-depth, look of the paint.
Now,
because people don't realize on the roof you paint, it's like this, and on the side it's like a waterfall. You don't see it, but if you put enough clear coat on, you can sand enough off to get it as flat as possible. It's like looking in a mirror. If you had a mirror with all kinds of ripples and all in it, you wouldn't look very good in it. But a very flat surface will reflect much better, and that's what we were able to do here.
Then, after 64, though, was there another company that recreated these?
In 1964, no were built, but Newman Altman, which was a Studebaker dealership in South Bend, and a Mercedes dealership, by the way, in 1965, they bought the rights to build the car. It was basically the same car. It was called the Avante 2, but it was built on a Corvette chassis, and it had a Corvette 327 in it. The thing is, Corvette's 327 was about 2 inches taller than a Studebaker 289, so the front end clip had to be redesigned a little higher to accommodate the engine. Well, then it went to a 350, and I've read the history of it. I can't repeat all of it, verbatim. But other companies bought it. One guy bought it and moved it to Youngstown, Ohio, which was his hometown. They were the Avante 2 or just the Avante at that point. Some were built on a Monte Carlo platform. Some were built on a Pontiac platform. They were built in Villarica, Georgia for a short while. One of the original guys that owned the company after Studebaker, Michael Kelly, bought it and moved it to Cancun, Mexico. And it was built down there, and there was a reason for it. Sadly, Mr. Kelly was being chased by the feds for embezzlement, not related to the cars.
Oh my God.
But unfortunately, he developed cancer, and he was going to the Mayo Clinic, and the feds got him. And sadly, he passed on. It's just a sad part of the story. But he was a very creative guy in the car. But when his health really deteriorated, the factory in Mexico just closed down.
That was it. Do you know if the instrument cluster was changed through the incarnation
In
of the car?
63 and 4, no, I don't know about after that, but Sherwood Egbert, who was the CEO of the company at the time, was brought in to shut Studebaker down, in their car division anyway. He's the one who wanted this car built. Well, he was a private pilot. And so the instrument cluster is designed like a cockpit. Now, this guy was like 6'5". Now, I'm 5'9". I can barely fit in this. This 6'5" guy had this car built, and you sit in it, and all the instrumentation's red light at night, makes it easier on the eyes and so forth. But it has kind of a cockpit feel to it.
Yeah, wow. Great. I'm so glad we talked about it. It's so beautiful, and your knowledge, wow.
That's great.
Best.
As we mentioned before, I'm a native of South Bend, Indiana, so it's near and dear to my heart. And there's always a chance one of my relatives put their hand on this.
Isn't that the great story? So. Yeah. Thank you, John.
Oh, thank you, Rob.